There's really no private equity in this space yet. There's no big national players. You don't see a lot of nice websites and really good marketing and, technology being used out there. So we saw a huge opportunity to kind of leverage our strengths to go out and into the fencing industry. And it's been amazing.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in to the latest edition of FranCoach's Franchising 101 podcast. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of FranCoach and your podcast host. Today, we're going to welcome in one of our franchise partners to discuss their brand. Today's featured franchise is a home service franchise that features a high-end product with a large average ticket price, minimal overhead, a small team, yet very easy to scale into multiple territories. Oh, and it's also backed by a large company with tons of support. Sounds pretty good, right? We'll get into them in a second, but first, quick reminder of who we are. And FranCoach is the premier franchise consulting firm. Our number one goal is not to sell stuff. Our number one goal is to properly educate you on franchise ownership to determine if this is the path for you. If so, we're going to now find you your absolute best franchise to own. We can never stress enough to folks, this is the most individualized and personalized process out there. There's not a best franchise or industry. It's what's your best. That's what our team here at FranCoach is willing and able to help you with. That's us. Now let's get to our guest. All right, welcome back to the Franchising 101 podcast. And with us today is, again, the Vice President of Franchise Development for our featured franchise, which is Stand Strong Fencing, Mr. Anthony Spagnola. Anthony, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Tim. I'm excited to be here.
We'll see how this goes. I'm pretty, these are some hard hitting questions. I usually do everything I can to bring people to tears, halfway through this. So, we are looking forward to learning about Stand Strong Fencing. I'm very confused as to what it does based on the name. But franchising, as you know, you've been doing this a while. This is a people business. I always like hearing stories. Give us the Anthony scoop, man. How did you get into this crazy thing that is franchising?
Yeah, like I think a lot of people, I kind of just fell into franchising. I was working in New York City for some tech startups, and we had this cool technology. They wanted to kind of branch into the franchise space, so they started sending me to all the franchise expos and conferences, and I started selling into franchisors. And that led me into the lead generation side of franchising. So I actually worked with a company, the company that owned franchisehelp.com. We were selling leads to franchisors and to consultants. So I was on that side of the business. And then I left there to become like an independent franchise consultant. So I helped some small emerging franchises get off the ground. Then I was approached by some friends to start this little healthy, fast casual restaurant franchise. And I became a franchisee for them as well.
Oh, nice.
So I had 2 restaurant franchises for a little while. And then about almost 3 years ago, I joined the team at Horsepower Brands. So my franchises were restaurants. COVID kind of put an end to that. That really shined the spotlight on home services and kind of attracted me to Horsepower Brands. And yeah, I've been with them for about 3 years now. I started with Mighty Dog Roofing, our flagship brand. I did the development for Mighty Dog for about a year. And then a little over a year and a half ago, we launched Stand Strong Fencing, and the rest is history.
Excellent. No, super cool. And I like how almost everybody we talk to has some random, it's rarely by design, right? Like, I'm going to work in franchising someday because just nobody knows what this really is all about, or how many different like sides of the equation. And you talked about, from the technology side, the lead gen side, you've been a franchise owner. Now you're doing franchise development, seen all different things. And now with Stand Strong, tell us a little bit. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm not super smart, but I'm going to say Stand Strong Fencing. They do fences. And
it's the sword fighting, Tim, on guard. Touche.
Oh, see,
No.
Excellent. peri peri epi thrust. There we go. So
There you go.
I worked someplace years and years and years ago. There was like in the gym. When I was still like athlete and coaching stuff. And there was a guy that would come in like 2 nights a week and he would be teaching this. And it was the weirdest thing to watch. But I remember just hearing that over and over again. Then you're like, it's kind of the randomness of people that are really, really good at things. Like the dude had been like literally in the Olympics for fencing and now is just in this random gym teaching lessons. Right. And so, no, super cool. So tell us a little bit about Stand Strong Fencing, obviously fencing, but from a consumer standpoint, talk about some of the things like the products, kind of who those customers are. Give us kind of that take to begin with.
Sure. Yeah. So as part of the Horsepower brands, we specialize in home services, and we're really out to provide, a much better customer experience and provide a better product at the end of the day. So we launched Stand Strong Fencing a little over a year and a half ago. Because the fencing industry has a tremendous demand. There's really no private equity in this space yet. There's no big national players. You don't see a lot of nice websites and really good marketing and, technology being used out there. So we saw a huge opportunity to kind of leverage our strengths to go out and into the fencing industry. And it's been amazing. We do every type of fence you can possibly think of. So wood, vinyl, ornamental, which is your steel, aluminum. We do Trex and other types of composite fencing. We do chain link, wire, you name it. We can do it for both residential and commercial. And we also offer some additional services. We do repairs, we do railings, wood staining, gates, and a couple other things as well. So there are some other ways to kind of get your foot in the door, or some other services you can kind of bundle in, with that fence repair or replacement. So that's the kind of the core of what we do. It's mostly sales and marketing. We're all about going out and networking and getting involved in the community and really hyper focused on driving revenue. And then we help those franchisees to find really great subcontractors that go out and take care of the installation for them.
Gotcha. And definitely want to talk about the subcontractors, because that's a thing that can freak people out a little bit when they're looking at brands, but ends up being a huge advantage. But just fencing in general, I think it's something that most people don't even realize. You may be driving down the street and you don't realize how many houses have them or need them. Or I think even on the commercial side, it was, I think it's something that's really always kind of been in my mind. My very first job out of college, in the most random possible floundering way, was working in the fence industry. Thanks to somebody who may possibly work for Stand Strong Fencing now. But it was, I didn't know the first thing about it. And then it's like, it's like you buy a new car and you think you're the only person with that car until you drive off the lot and you start seeing them because you're hyper aware to it. The fencing thing, it's everywhere, man. And you're right. There has not been big players. It's been mom and pop all over the place. So, you talk about the subcontractor. I want to come back to that, but talk about kind of the business model in general. How many people, the labor is subbed out. How many people are we starting with? Like obviously the owner is involved in some way, full-time or not, but how are we kind of starting this thing off labor-wise?
Yeah, that's the beauty of this model. It's very low overhead and it's very easy to get started. You only need 1 or 2 employees to get started. If you're going to be what we call an owner operator, that's where you run the day-to-day of the business yourself. You just need a sales rep with you to go out and give estimates and knock on doors. If you're going to be semi-involved, where you want to hold on to your day job and maybe do this, on the side, you'd have to hire a GM and a salesperson. So 1 or 2 employees and a pickup truck, which is a sales vehicle. So we wrap that up. It looks awesome. It's like a mobile billboard. You'll be surprised how many leads you get just from driving the truck around.
Yep.
And then you can actually work from home. So it's a work from home opportunity. Again, keeping that overhead very low. And because we utilize subcontractors for the installation, that also keeps your overhead low because they have their own tools, their own trucks, their own equipment. They're licensed and insured. So you don't need any of that stuff. So again, you focus on going out and really driving revenue. I like to say we let the subcontractors do what they do best, which is building fences, and we do what we do best, which is going out and building relationships.
Gotcha. So you mentioned the owner, if they are owner operator, they're going to be that general manager and hire the salesperson that's doing all the consultations. What's kind of and I know there can be a wide range, but give us an example of some things an owner would do. They've got some, if I own this, I have somebody out doing the sales calls. What's my day look like? What are some things that would be wrapped into that?
I was actually talking to one of my franchisees just yesterday, and he broke it down very simply. I had never heard anyone break it down like this, but he said, if you can really boil Stand Strong down to three things. He said it's sales, suppliers, and subcontractors. So you go out, you sell the job, then you got to order the materials. We have some amazing supplier partners that we're going to be hooking our franchisees up with, where they're going to get all their materials from. They deliver the materials right to the job site, or the subcontractors can pick it up for you. So you order the materials, you get discounted rates and things because of our partnerships and our buying power. And then you have to schedule the subcontractors and manage those subs. So it's really sales, and managing the subcontractors. So as a GM, the salesperson is going to be going out, giving the estimates and knocking on doors. So your primary responsibilities as the GM are going to be obviously managing the salesperson, kind of overseeing the day-to-day. You're going to be ordering the materials, scheduling the subs, and kind of managing the projects.
Gotcha.
And that's all part of the training and the coaching and the support that we provide is, how to do that.
Gotcha. And you talk about that salesperson, they're going out doing the consultations, and then you use the phrase knocking on doors. So before people freak out, right? Like, is that salesperson, are they just walking up and down the street, knocking on doors and going,
No.
hey, you need a fence, or look, man, your fence sucks, we can fix it. Kind of clarify that a little bit. So before anybody needs to.
I'm glad you asked, because that does scare a lot of people away, and they're turned off by the idea of canvassing and knocking on doors. But we're not like some company that's going out and guerrilla marketing the streets and leaving junk everywhere. Like, we're very strategic the way that we do our canvassing. We always have an excuse to be in the neighborhood. So it's usually like, let's say in the morning, we're about to kick off a project. We're about to build a fence. So the salesperson will roll up in their nice Stand Strong, pickup truck. They stick a big sign, Stand Strong sign in the front yard. They make sure all the subs got their Stand Strong shirts on. We want to let everybody know that we're in the neighborhood. And then they'll go what we call clover leafing. They'll hit a few doors across the street, a few doors, to the left, a few doors to the right. And it's, hey, we're over at Mrs. Jones's house. We're putting up this beautiful vinyl fence to keep those crazy dogs in the yard. We're offering free estimates while we're in the neighborhood. If you're interested, we got this really cool technology. We can show you what a fence would look like in your backyard and how much it would cost. And people are very receptive to that when you do it properly. And we even have technology to help manage that. We have a canvassing software that actually provides some information about that homeowner before you even get to the door, and it tracks all the doors you're knocking, so you're not hitting the same place over and over. We've got great marketing collateral, like door hangers. If they're not home, you can leave a nice door hanger. So it's not as bad as you think, and it's very, very small piece of the puzzle. We've got a lot of ways that we attract customers.
You're already in the neighborhood, right? And again, you said the phrase I always tell people, that wrap vehicle is a mobile billboard. The yard signs you have to think is like, it would be amazing if you could get a new customer with one touch point, right? Like, can that happen once in a while? Sure. But you'll see the stats. It's like, I've seen anywhere from like 9 to 13 different times they have to see your name or have some sort of contact before they become a buyer, right? And so what'll happen is they're going to see the truck, they're going to see the technicians, they're going to see, even if you just left something on the door, then they're going to keep seeing the Joneses' new fence, right? I'm like, dang, that looks good, honey. We should maybe do that. What was the name of that? And then somewhere in the drawer is where they got that. The social media and the stalker is going to kick in, and now it's in their feed and really in front of them. So those things are huge. So I definitely wanted to clarify. You're just not like, I don't know, you think of like the solar people, right? That are constantly knocking on doors, or I'm old, so I'm going to go like, oh, we're selling vacuums or encyclopedias or whatever, right? It's not that. It's all very strategic. So come back to the other thing. You guys use a great term, like in franchising, basically everybody, but you guys use semi-absentee, which is the most poorly defined term in the industry. It could mean 15 different things to 10 different brands. You guys call it semi-involved, which I absolutely love. Talk about what that really means, and some of the things that you look for there for an owner.
Yeah, semi-absentee has been thrown around for a long time, and we just feel that puts such a bad connotation on, like, you know, as a business owner, like, do you want to be absent in your business? Do you want to be absent to your customers? Do you want to be absent to your staff? You know, and in our experience, the more involved you are in your business, the better, period. Right. So, like, you know, we prefer owner operators. Everybody, I think, you know, loves an owner operator, but not everybody can afford to go all in on a business and, you know, sacrifice their W-2 income to go build something. And we understand that. So that's why the semi-involved model is great for those people who want to keep their W-2 income. You hire a GM and a salesperson, and they kind of help get your business off the ground. And then, you know, maybe you can go all in on the business, you know, down the road. So even as a semi-involved owner, you still need to be present. You need to be present to your staff. You need to be present to your customers. The more so, the better. So I usually tell people, you know, even as a semi-involved owner, you should be willing and able to put in at least 10 to 15 hours a week, especially in the beginning. You're building a new business. Right. The more time you can put in, the better. You know, and everybody's in a different situation. If you have a 9 to 5 or maybe more, you're putting in overtime, you're going to an office, you can't get out from in front of the computer for an hour to go take a customer call. It's going to be hard to start a business, you know? Yeah. But if you have a flexible work-life balance, maybe you work from home, you can take a couple hours here and there to go take care of a customer or something going on. Like, I think the semi-involved model is great.
Yeah. And I always think with that, people, I mean, everybody in the industry talks about like how many hours a week, but to me, I think it's always that accessibility, right? So, and you talked about this semi-involved, you're hiring a general manager and the salesperson, right? Well, if that general manager calls you at 10 in the morning and they've got a question, you've empowered them with a lot of things. So it's probably pretty urgent, right? Like, how quickly, you may not always be able to answer, but how quickly can you get back to them? Can you find, hey, 30 minutes from 7:30 to 8 every morning, I'm having just a quick check-in with my manager and communicate with them. Like, though it's not as difficult as people think, but I love the fact that you guys don't even pretend like it's easy either, because it is not. You just have to be, again, I think it's the time and the effort. If you're not going to put 10 to 15 hours a week in, and then 12 months down the road, you can't figure out why your business is struggling because you're spending 2 hours. Yeah. Like, let me help you with the answer. It's like, it's in the mirror, right? So from that, and but I love the term, right? Because again, that probably speaks to it a little bit better. So we got a general manager, or it's the owner. We've got the salesperson. It's home-based, but we've got stuff, right? Like all the material for all of the jobs. Is that always delivered to the job site? Do we eventually need some place to have kind of like as a storage? How does that work?
Yeah, so we recommend working from home and keeping the overhead as low as possible in the beginning. Yep. You know, focus on sales, get the business off the ground. Once we see that you're selling enough of certain products, you know, where it makes sense, then you could reinvest in your business. You can get yourself some real estate. And that's not like a customer facing showroom or anything like that. We're talking about like, you know, 1,500 to 2,000 square foot fenced in lot, maybe a little warehouse if you get a good deal, but just somewhere where you can get deliveries and start buying in bulk. So nothing fancy. It can be in an industrial area. And that's kind of like level 2, right? So we like to start off, keep it simple, focus on sales, work from home. The suppliers, if they don't offer delivery right to the job site, then the subcontractors will typically pick it up for you. So either way, you don't need any space. You know, eventually you'll notice that, you know, there's going to be some leftover materials here and there. And, you know, there's going to be things that, you may want to eventually get a little storage space, maybe a garage, up until the point where you end up getting yourself a little yard or something and start buying in bulk.
Gotcha.
Just so your spouse doesn't kill you for stacking up materials in the garage,
Right. Exactly. Let's talk about the subcontractors, right? It's kind of the elephant in the room. And I think pretty much every person, when we talk about staff, right? It's sales, it's skilled labor, it's unskilled labor. They can all kind of wrap their head around that. Subcontractors, more times than not, it's like, whoa. Wait, subcontractors, right? And I think the majority of the time it's because we think of it as a homeowner, right? Like, oh man, it's so hard to find anybody good to do this work. But you're going to sit there and stand strong when the customer says that. You're going to go, yeah, because they all work for us, right? We've cornered the market on that talent. That's what ends up happening. But at the beginning, it can be a little scary. So talk a little bit about how you guys are going to but help those owners find the good subcontractors and kind of build those relationships.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's everybody's biggest concern that I meet with is, what if I can't find good subs? Yeah. What if I can't find people to do the work? What if they don't do a good job? So I get it. But out of 9 franchise brands in the horsepower portfolio, 4 of them are subcontractor models. We have literally hundreds of franchisees all across the country that are all using subcontractors, for their installation. And not once ever in the history of horsepower have we had a situation where somebody sold a fence or a roof or a painting job or whatever, and we couldn't find somebody to install it. It's never happened. All right. This isn't like the restaurant industry and some other industries out there where it's really hard finding people. In the trades business and construction, home services, there's actually a lot of people out there looking for work. And what we've seen is, once you ramp up a little bit and people see you're doing a lot of business, they're going to be knocking on your door. Yeah. You're going to have people knocking on your door probably a couple times a month looking for work.
Yep.
But in the beginning, we do provide a lot of training and support around helping you to find some of the best subcontractors in your market. All right. First, we're going to leverage our internal network. I've got guys on my team with multiple guys on my team with over 30 years in the fencing industry. These guys have worked all across the country. They know people everywhere. It's insane. So we may know some people internally. Right. You may be opening next to another franchise. That franchise already has a bunch of subs that they're working with, so you can usually piggyback off of their subs. We have these amazing supplier partners. These suppliers and fence distributors, they work with all the subs in every market they're in, so they can usually introduce you to some good people. Even Facebook Marketplace. You go on Facebook Marketplace, type in fence near me or fence installer near me. I'll bet there's a bunch of guys on there trying to sell fences because they don't know any better. They don't have nice websites and know how to do marketing. So they're on Facebook. You take those guys out for coffee. You tell them you got some jobs coming up. You want to try them out, and you can put those guys to work. So it's actually pretty easy finding subcontractors. The trick is finding the right one. We teach you how to vet them, how to qualify them, certain things to look for, certain questions to ask. We teach you how to set the right expectations, right? There's certain ways that we like things done.
Yeah.
And you need to agree to that in writing, that you're going to do things our way if you want us to keep hiring you back for more jobs. And that's all they want. If you treat them right, you keep them busy and you pay them on time, those guys are going to work their butts off for you. And as you build a relationship over time, you build trust with one another. You don't have to babysit them as much, and they become like a part of your team. They just happen to be 1099.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's for all the fear and I'm sure you've seen this with your brands within horsepower that do this, is once people get into a business with the subcontractor model, like, they don't want to hire anybody. It is just, but it's such a leap because, again, I think we think of it from the homeowner standpoint. If it's hard to find them, I'm like, well, what if they don't do a good job? Well, if it's an employee, that can be a process to be able to let them go. They're a 1099 and they don't do a good job. Like, bye-bye, like, go away. And when they are good, they're, like you said, they're going to see you eventually as a meal ticket. Like, I'm good at doing the work. I'm not really good at finding it, but you are good at finding it. Like, that relationship is fantastic. And I think usually the people that are in any industry, people that are good at doing something also know other people that are good at doing something. right?
Yeah.
Like, like, hey, do you know my buddy Bob over here? Like, Bob's really good at doing the work too. And, right, all of a sudden you've got a whole network of subcontractors that's just, nobody knows. It's kind of one of those little things underground. Nobody really knows it exists, but they're in every single little niche like this. So,
they're all over. And the joke is, like, those guys, they don't want to do sales. They don't want to do marketing. They don't want to do customer service. They don't want to deal with the materials and all the logistics. They want to show up. They want to build the fence. They want to get paid. So it's a perfect marriage, where we come in, we're able to generate the business and keep them busy, and everybody's happy.
Yeah. You mentioned some of the technology things earlier. Like, I think one in particular is kind of almost like I'm going to say visualization of what something might look like. Explain that, because also, like, Bob over here that may sell some fence and sell some fence, Bob ain't got no tech, right? So for this, so walk through kind of what that is about.
You rarely see any technology being used in this industry, and we happen to have our own proprietary technology. It's called Fence Flow. So our founder, Eli, he's based in Nashville. He actually tried every software on the market, couldn't find anything that worked for him. He's pretty much a genius, so he just figured he'd create his own. So he started building out what we call Fence Flow, and it's your CRM system. So it manages all your customer info. It manages your sales pipeline. You can see everything going on in your business at any time. It's a communication tool, so you can communicate and chat with your customers. It's got automated follow-ups built into it. It's your point of sale, so you can do your invoicing through Fence Flow. Customers can pay online through the app. It even has built-in consumer financing options if they want to pay monthly as opposed to paying up front for the fence, which is nice. And then it's a really powerful sales and estimating tool. So it used to be where you'd have to take a satellite image, which was still really cool. You take a satellite image on your iPad or your smartphone, you can draw the fence out, it picks up real life measurements, and then you can quote them right there on the spot. Recently, we actually added augmented reality and this 3D visualizer. So now you can look through the camera phone on your smartphone or on your iPad, and you can actually draw the fence out through the camera. It picks up real life measurements super accurately. We build in your material cost and your labor cost, which we know based on the measurements. So this way you can set your margin, you can give an estimate right there on the spot, and then you can now show the customer what the fence is going to look like. So imagine you're looking through a camera, and all of a sudden there's a real fence in your backyard. It looks so real, like you can walk up and touch it. So if you're stuck between wood or vinyl or aluminum, or maybe different types of privacy fences, you want to see how much privacy it provides, you can have someone go walk behind it. It's incredible tech, and nobody has anything like it. So that's a huge kind of competitive advantage that we have. And that sounds way better than the orange wheel of walking the perimeter of the yard, or you go someplace, the big box things, or you're looking at something online. It's got to be almost like a jaw dropping moment for that potential customer. Yeah, customers love it. They really do. And it gets better and better every day. I mean, that's the coolest part, is that we have an in-house developer now, and he works very closely with the franchisees to get ideas and to get feedback, and he pushes updates constantly. So this technology just gets better and better every day.
Awesome. The owner, and you didn't say this, but I want to kind of clarify this. You don't need people with fencing experience to be owners. In fact, probably don't want that. But then, and this goes in every franchise, but I always like to bring it up. You don't need the fence experience because you have fence people. You got a founder that obviously founded this sucker, but you got some support people on your team that are out there in the field working with franchise owners that have decades of experience to be able to kind of help them on maybe the technical aspect of the industry, correct?
Yeah, we almost prefer that you don't have industry experience, because sometimes you'll come in with bad habits and stuff. Yeah. So most of my franchisees don't have any construction or home service experience. I'll be honest with you, most of them, it's their first time ever owning a business. And that's why people choose Horsepower, because we do have amazing training. We've got some killer technology and software to help you manage everything. We've got ongoing support with dedicated franchise business coaches. Like I said, my franchise business coaches have over 30 years each in the industry, in the fencing industry. These guys have seen it all. And you're going to be able to always get a hold of somebody. If you can't get a hold of your business coach, you're going to be able to get a hold of one of the other business coaches, one of our directors, our VP. So yeah, our support's incredible. So you definitely don't need industry experience. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about selling fence and how to use our software.
Absolutely. So tell us, we've you mentioned it a couple of times, but talk to us about horsepower brands, and some of the way we probably have an whole episode just on how all the ways horsepower can help owners and all the different brands. But what the heck is horsepower? Give us a little scoop on that.
Yeah, horsepower is our holding company. We're a portfolio company. We have 9 franchises under our umbrella. They're all in home services, everything from fencing, roofing, painting, insulation, you name it. And then we have what we call the Z services. It's a bunch of shared services that we built to support the franchisees. So our franchisees have access to so many resources, everything from recruiting partners to help them with hiring, to marketing agencies to do their marketing and lead generation, to a call center that picks up the phones, books their appointments for them 7 days a week. We've got a financial services company to handle their accounting, bookkeeping, payroll processing. We've got an IT company for tech support. We've got a national partnerships team that are doing big deals with property management companies and like Associa and Greystar. We're preferred vendors for them now. They actually recently did a big deal with Lowe's, specifically for Stand Strong, where now if you walk into a Lowe's in certain markets, they actually refer that work out to the local Stand Strong franchisee. Not even refer it. They actually sell the job and then give it to the local Stand Strong franchisee. So we've got this, it's a pretty exciting partnership we just landed recently. So there's a lot of support you get from horsepower brands. There's also a lot of experience. We've launched more emerging franchises than anybody in the history of franchising. We've got, probably over 450 franchisees across the country. And Stand Strong is, I think, the fastest growing brand we've ever had. We already have 62 or 63 franchisees in about 220 territories just for Stand Strong fencing. We did that in just over 18 months. So we're growing like crazy, very quickly becoming the biggest fence company in the country.
Nice. Well, all of the kind of the shared resources and support and the buying power is always so massive in franchising in general, but certainly when you've got a group like horsepower, but also those other owners, right? If I come in and I own a Stand Strong fencing in my market, if there's another horsepower brand, like that should almost be like my new bestie, because we're probably we're in home service. We're going to have connections and referrals back and forth, correct?
You're 100% right. And we don't talk about that enough. Like, yeah, we've got, 150 plus people in corporate that are there to support you. And that's great. And we have a ton of experience, but we've got hundreds and hundreds of really, really smart franchisees from all different backgrounds, sales, finance, marketing. They're all bringing stuff to the table, and they really do work together, and they share their successes. They share their mistakes. And they're collaborating, they're working together. We're seeing it happen all across the country, where franchisees are actually, they're trading referrals, they're sharing subcontractors, they're splitting the cost of raw materials to save money. They're going in on marketing events and campaigns together, local home and garden shows, things like that. And that's not just within Stand Strong fencing. That's across all the horsepower brands. I got right now in Fort Myers, Florida, I have 4 franchisees with 4 different brands that they all went in on a big home and garden show, and they traded all their leads at the end of the show. They're talking about going in on a big yard together. It's pretty cool if you work with your neighbors.
Yeah. And which is, I may be the Stand Strong owner, and I get done doing a job and I've got a happy customer, and they're like, hey, we're actually thinking about painting our house. You know anybody? Well, as a matter of fact, I do. Right. And it's the, Groovy Hughes, right? And so those things, I'm with you. I don't think we talk nearly enough in this industry about the power of the owners and that connection and collaboration and how they can work together as a support group. Because I don't care how much experience is in the franchisor, nobody knows the daily grind better than another owner, right?
Yeah.
So
it's also nice to go through to go through something with somebody else who's in the same spot as you. So what we see a lot is we have people for Discovery Day. It's like this big Meet the Team day we do in Omaha at our corporate headquarters. And, these franchise candidates, they end up building relationships because they're all, in the same spot. Then they end up moving forward together. They end up in the same onboarding group. We call it a cohort. And then they come to academy training together, and then they kind of maintain these relationships over time. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's in some ways it's almost like going to college, right? Like we probably all can remember who our freshman roommate was, or things like that, or any sort of group. I mean, really, like the three of the four people I was in my little group with as a freshman on the basketball team, like we're still all in contact, right? And it's pretty cool that those things just stick with you because you're all having the same experience. You're all there for the same reason. So I'm glad you brought that up again because I think that's hugely important. The last thing I want to give you one last little thing here because I appreciate all of your time. And this is super open-ended, but is there anything else you want to share with folks about Stand Strong Fencing that maybe we haven't touched on yet?
I think of all the home service kind of segments, I really think that the fencing industry is probably the most outdated, kind of stuck in the mud. So the competition, the level of competition just isn't what we're used to seeing in other home services, very unsophisticated. So I think we just have so many competitive advantages for this industry, and there's really more demand than there is supply in a lot of markets. I have an exercise. I think it's the best exercise you can do if you're thinking about starting a fence company is you just reach out to all the local fence companies, pretend that you're a customer, try to get some quotes and see what you get. And I think you'll be amazed. I've heard some stories where, they don't pick up the phone. They don't call you back. They don't want to come to your house. They're not very professional. And if you start talking to your friends and family about, who have fences, hey, how'd you get your fence? Where'd you find it? How was your experience? You're going to hear some stuff and you'll see that the bar is set pretty low in this industry. So coming out with horsepower behind you, if you put in the work and you follow the playbook, it's definitely a recipe for success.
Yeah. I love that. Like, just try to make some phone calls and see how that goes. Does anybody even answer? If they do, they're probably in the middle of a job and like, I'll get back to you or whatever. So my wife and I just went through this we won a gift certificate for, it was gutters. And so she calls, well, like I got a free gift and he had like a few other services. Like, you can't get a call back, right? Like, it's like, I'll swing by later this week and take a look and give you a quote. And, that was 2 weeks ago, man. We're still waiting.
Yep.
And that's the norm in all of home service. And again, having all those things, even just back to what you talked about, the wrapped vehicle, the uniformed, the officers, the technology, the call center, right? There's no wonder if somebody's going to answer or not. You're going to have a professional human being answer the phone and have a conversation with you. So, cool. Anthony, thank you so much, man, for coming on and talking about Stand Strong Fencing as part of Horsepower Brands. I greatly appreciate your time.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks again for having me, Tim.
No, my pleasure. Thanks to Anthony Spagnola from Stand Strong Fencing for joining us again. And as always, thanks to our loyal listeners for tuning in. I hope these podcasts provide some insight into the absolute amazing possibilities and things that can be achieved in the world of franchising. Be sure to, again, follow, subscribe us wherever you're getting your podcasts. Social media. Don't forget our YouTube channel, new and improving YouTube channel. All of our podcast episodes, our Franchising 360 show is there. You can also see that every Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Biz TV, a bunch of other things. But when you are ready to learn a little bit more, take that first step. Reach out to our team. FranCoach.net is us. There's never, ever any fee for our service. So what are you waiting for, man? Take that first step. Reach out to us and let us help you create your better tomorrow. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.